Hey Kyle, it's Daye.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. And we'll start out. I guess you're calling No Data your first proper album. Is that right?
I consider it a mixtape. I still think it's building sort of like my sound and my style before I come in with like a big push and another album. I'm always writing, so I'm always have things in the catalog and things that I'm gearing up for, the future. So, yeah, No Data for me is like a statement for where I'm at right now. A statement that tells about like my childhood and growing up in Atlanta, but being born in Nigeria and the whole story, but still something that's setting up like my proper album.
I mean, that story in itself is completely topical for the time that we're in right now, and that must have been at least part of the reason why you went for it.
Definitely. Being a first generation immigrant, I think that there's a lot of struggles you have when you come to America, trying to fit in and find yourself, but also, not being able to connect with people because your life, you can't fit into any box that's already been set. You're unique and you have so many cultures that are within you that you want to express. And it's like we're in a place where the country is downplaying the importance of first generation immigrants. So it's very important to tell your story and let people know what it's like, growing up in the United States.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there who are in the same position as you that need that voice, that need to be able to hear that from someone else.
Definitely. I think this album is like is one for any kid who just wants to express himself and not try to fit into society's boxes, wants to really just be themselves and practice self-love and self-expression.
Now, yeah, I've heard you talking about, what you were going for on this album specifically, and talking about experimentation is what you're trying to get at. And of course, there are lots of sounds happening on this collection. What was the experimentation that you were looking for? I mean, was it anything specific, or was this just lots of different messing around?
I really wanted to focus on the late '90s, early 2000s. It's a lot of songs that really impacted me when I was around like 13 years old. First, that first experience of finding your own music, and those early songs that really shape who you are. And I want to kind of recreate that from like Justin Timberlake, Justified, to Speaker Box, Love Below, Outkast, to 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying, just
Hmm.
recreating that, early 2000s vibe that was just so funky and just felt good.
And there's a lot of you in it too. I mean, obviously, part of your story is going to college for that moment to be a computer programmer. So it even makes more sense as you call it, no data, and that's kicking it right off with those sounds. I mean, that's really kind of putting a what do they say, right on the nose, right?
No, definitely. Yeah, the whole concept of it is just seeing where the future of tech will go to. That's like the internal story of the album, just having, some AI play in the album. I think artificial intelligence is where we're headed towards, Siri on steroids. So I wanted to kind of mess around with that a little bit.
And you've been working, I guess, in the Max Martin camp. Is that right?
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
how's that affected your songwriting? Because I mean, that's the pop doctor right there. When you're talking about the science of pop songwriting, like I don't think you can get any higher.
Yeah, I got into the camp like a year and a half ago, and it was a trip for me just seeing people who are really good at writing songs and understand the science behind it. So I've just been a fly on the wall, just learning from each producer and each songwriter there, and Max himself, and very crazy thing, just see how they work, and I'm just trying to learn as much as I can.
Yeah. Have you noticed anything specific about the biggest changes in the way you write after learning some of this?
I've been very focused on kind of getting my hooks written first and writing choruses before I even think about going to the verses and what I'm gonna like rap and my rap style, whatever. Like they've just really pushed me towards really caring about every detail of the song, making sure one song tells one specific story and not really being as loose with it.
Hmm.
There's a time and place for everything, but I think there's something special about telling the story of a song in as least words as possible and making it clear for everyone.
And being able to bridge that to an the story for the entire album. I mean, that takes a lot of talent right there and a lot of focus. I was even laughing at one of the parts on the record because I think it was one of the, maybe it was, in the interlude in the middle there, but here you are talking to the computer about wanting to find love, and then you immediately follow that up with Lady Villain.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that didn't
Yeah,
work
that
out
was
so well for you.
yeah, I think that's the kind of the point. It's the funny thing. It's like you want to find that love. The computer doesn't really understand how to get you there. You face lots of trials. Just trying to like find someone who gets you, but you're not quite there yet. And yeah, the whole album is kind of just asking questions and constantly not getting the right answers or not understanding, why no one can answer the most important questions for you. And I think that's what a lot of kids face, with so much technology. You think that you'll be able to, answer all your questions. How do you be cool? How do you fit in? How do you get a girl? How do you get money? And you think that the internet's going to answer that for you, but at the end of the day, it's just like any other time that we've lived in, where you have to answer the most important questions for yourself.
So, that sucks. And I noticed you got. I mean, you've had a release every year for the past 3 years, but I'm reading that you're already working on the next record as it is.
Yes, I've been writing this new one for a little bit now, and actually No Data I was done with last year, and I've just kind of been sitting on it. So I'm always working on music, and I'm always gearing up for new stuff. But the next record I'm working on is definitely going to be its own sound and tell a new story that I think is also a big part of me. I think every album should have their own unique voice and sound.
I can't wait to hear that. And are you also working on a program? I mean, I don't know if you were just the line you'd said you wanting to make a program that can impact change, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Is that something you could elaborate on?
Well, I had a teacher in NYU in one of my coding classes. And that teacher was like, "Don't write a code. Write something that you'd want to make if you had all the abilities, all the resources in the world, but also remember that it needs to impact change and it needs to affect people positively." And I wrote like a couple ideas on a little notepad. And I think that I want to target trying to make something, this year. And it's kind of beyond me. You can't just wake up one day and, create Facebook or something big that changes, the way people interact or helps people in a way. But I think it's always good to have ideas in your head,
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch everything that you're doing right now. I mean, it feels like a mile a minute, which is a lot of fun as a fan. So, congratulations on No Data, and I'll
thank you, man.
Yeah, I'll look forward to the next thing too.
No, definitely.
All right, man. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.